Well, a lot has been happening over the past couple of hours, especially last night, and we need to talk about this ASAP. As you guys can see in today's video, we are going to be looking at Xrp, and we're going to be looking at Solana, and Ethereum, and Bitcoin, and VONG, which is the Russell 1000, and also the S&P 500. So let's start off talking about Xrp. As you guys can clearly tell, we have broken through bottom support. This happened much earlier than we had predicted, much earlier than we had predicted, to be honest with you. But it's not alarming at any point, because we have said the second we see confirmation closure below said support, we know it's going to end up in a short position. And we are well within a downtrend, a descending fractal here. This is essentially bullish, but short term we need to correct. So I thought we would see some consolidation outwards and then see the pull. We saw that right now. So the question then becomes, have we officially broken out of this, or are we going to be able to tweak this chart just a hair? I think we have confirmed a breach below it here. If I extend this up a hair, you can see pretty much we got sandwiched in between the moving average here and the uptrend, and that inevitably caused a correction to the downside. It's very simple. I can pull this right here, and now you can see essentially what has happened to Xrp. This caused a break to the downside. Now, this isn't bad news. This isn't a bad thing. If anything, it's the opposite. If anything, this could be a good sign of possible reversal to the upside, which we're going to talk about in a little bit. But you can see it happened to pretty much every cryptocurrency. We can map out the pretty much the pattern here on on Solana here, essentially drawing the price ceiling and the support, filling in this gap beautifully, filling in that. This is what this looked like. This is the symmetrical triangle, filling in the gap, falling lower. Why I say this is good news is because this could now be an opportunity to get in while prices are low. I'll explain that in a minute. You can see same thing with Ethereum breaking down. I would think essentially how we would have to tweak this is maybe pulling this here a little bit and pulling that here, and that might be it. That's pretty much it. But with all of that being said, make sure to smash that like button, turn on post notifications, subscribe, and let's get right into today's episode. So before we dive into the technical analysis, checking out the current coin market cap, 27 on the Fear and Greed Index. I'm liking what I'm seeing here. Not so bad. 35 on the RSI. That is starting to become oversold. Not extreme oversold, but oversold nonetheless. You can see the correction that's taking place here. Huge sell-offs. This gets me excited, seeing the markets on sale, getting ready to buy in. You can see with crypto, this is short term. This is very short term. We have not seen any sort of confirmation of a bear market at all right now. We're still very bullish, but we need healthy correction in order to head up. But over the past 24 hours, they're down maybe 3 to 5%. I would say, I wish they show it now, and they don't really do that. It's kind of annoying. They used to give an average here on the current coin market cap, and I'm just not seeing it anymore. Very irritating, but whatever. That's how it used to be, but they're not doing it anymore. And as you can see, so pretty much 3 to 5%. But in the past week, we've seen coins down double digits. Bitcoin down 10, Ethereum 15, 16, Xrp 15, 17, 20, 23, 21. I mean, huge correction here. You can see the consolidation that pretty much took place over the weekend. Today is Tuesday. Now the descent is happening here on lots of these cryptos. We are descending very low. Now, it's not a bad thing because it's a very small, subtle correction here. You can see yesterday we were talking about waiting for that confirmation, waiting for us to get to this point to buy in, and unfortunately we didn't get there. We got stopped out by the moving average right here, which pulled us to the downside. Kind of spooky, but not at all alarming or surprising. It just came a bit ahead of schedule, if that makes sense here. So to start with Xrp, for example, you can see, again, nothing abnormal happened. We're still well within our beautiful bull flag formation. And how we've discussed this is how we enter is how we exit. This is a huge flag pull to the upside, descending fractal to the downside. It usually has a bullish tendency. So what I would expect to see here is eventually a break out and a break up. Now, keep in mind, the short term trading inside this descending fractal is where things get a bit more aggressive. And you can see we entered this current one falling. So typically we exited falling. Again, continuation pattern. Makes sense that how we are exiting is how we entered. Not a surprise. Now, we had overextended our charts here, but now it makes sense had we pulled them back. So we did miss it a hair, but with us pulling down a support here, we're probably going to even out. Like, we're probably going to flatline out. And as you can see, what typically happens when we hit this lower point here, we end up going higher. And because we're coming off of a very large correction, we're talking about over the past couple of weeks on XRP, where are we here? Price range, here we go. We're talking about like a correction of 27%, a very large drop in price here. So what I'd likely expect to see is some consolidation, and then we float back up. Then hopefully we breach this and rally to the upside here, because we are getting pretty low in the markets. Let me know what you guys think on this, but that's truly the pattern that I suspect to see take place. Not surprised. All we had to do, we had them a little bit too wide, and constricting them a bit now shows the prime breakout. We were just a little too wide to confirm exactly the timing of said run to the downside here. Now, moving forward, looking at something like Solana here, again, all the cryptos are doing exactly that. So XRP, as you can see, isn't necessarily oversold just yet, 37, but Solana is. Solana has hit its bottom. So essentially, another positive movement here is when we fall, we usually bounce up. We fall, we bounce up. This is no different. We fall, we should bounce up. And that is what we're looking for here. I did not mean to adjust those. Let's put those back. So you can see we have a beautiful symmetrical triangle. And again, how we enter is how we exit. So we entered bearish, consolidated. How we exit is bearish. Continuation pattern. We entered bullish into a much bigger one here. So eventually we'll exit bullish. Now, it's figuring out the timing of that is tough, because this could happen it could happen at the end of the year. It could happen earlier. It really depends on how the markets decide to perform. But the easiest way to tell is essentially paying very close attention to these blue bands, because they are supports and resistances. Right now, we're using it as a support, and we should hopefully veer off. But if we manage to confirm closure above this, which we have yet to do, we'll know we can buy in and long to the upside. So again, we're waiting patiently for it to happen, and then we can take advantage of the markets. But with us being undervalued and oversold, there's a good chance we should flip the markets here. Now, I'm not saying we're going to explode up, because that's a lot of volume that I just don't think we have. You can see when we hit this price point right here, we were at, what is this? 50 on the RSI. Now we're extremely oversold. So if anything, there's probably more potential for a much bigger break now that I think about it here. Much more room to the upside. So regardless, I think if you want to take a risk, this is buy an opportunity. And I would say doing it closer to the end of today. That's probably when I'll enter this market here. In about 9 hours, we'll see what happens. But moving forward from Solana, then you look at something like XRP. Look at this. We have a beautiful rally up, lower high, lower low to the downside here. And again, waiting for reversal. We'll do all these trades on BYDFI, the #1 cryptocurrency leveraging exchange that I like to use here on the channel. Buy long, sell short, leverage trade, create stop losses, take profits. Every single thing you'd want on an exchange is offered on BYDFI, which is phenomenal. I've been working with them or using the exchange for probably half a decade now. I think going back to 2020 since that crash, and they were fine. They've done phenomenal and exceptional business, and they've been able to, any issues there were, they get it handled right away. They're a very, very, very legitimate exchange that I really like to use. So definitely make sure to check them out with the link down in the description below. But moving forward from BYDFI here, looking at something like Ethereum, you can see again, beautiful. I mean, it's a very obvious technical indicator. If anything, part of me is curious if I can extend this pattern up. Yeah, that looks a little bit better here. Something like this, you can see, is what we've been doing. We broke down from that, and it's probably still going to act like a bit of resistance. If I pull this, you can see I grab it and I pull it. And now we're going to probably still have a bit of problems trying to break through that. But if we do, we know we're going to head back up. Again, oversold. What we're looking for is to rebound back up to here. So I think these are bottoms. Look where we fell. Perfect support. We've now consolidated down to oversold. What happened the last time we were oversold? We rallied. What happened the last time we were oversold? We rallied. So I likely suspect a similar outcome with Ethereum. Same thing with Bitcoin. Bitcoin's a little weirder of a candle or a indicator to draw. We knew we were going to drop. I drew that here. It just came a little bit earlier, but that could just mean that I didn't have this graphed properly. You can see it could have been much earlier like this. And here we are heading lower. Again, not oversold just yet. Little bit of room left, but again, I very likely suspect rebound, as that has what has happened several times when it hits that yellow support. So keep your eyes peeled, but that's pretty much it for today's video. Vong heading downwards here. Again, makes sense. What goes up must come down. We were overbought. We pretty much hit overbought, and here we are probably going to consolidate back down and then rally up. Same thing with S&P. I pretty much drew it, just depending on how steep we wanted to go. But again, hitting it and rallying up. That is the inevitable price point that I suspect to see take place. But with that being said, smash that like button, turn on post notifications, subscribe, and I'll see you in tomorrow's video. Peace.